The fragile facade. China's infrastructure crisis and societal decline. Walking into this railway station feels like stepping into a cathedral of modern opulence. The gleaming marble floors, towering glass panels, and intricate chandeliers evoke the grandeur of a world-class luxury resort. Yet beneath this polished veneer lies a troubling truth that no amount of curated drone footage or social media glamour can obscure. China's infrastructure is buckling under the weight of its own ambitions, plagued by what locals call tofu-dreg construction projects that dazzle at first glance but collapse under scrutiny. These failures, from crumbling ceilings to flooded malls, are not mere accidents, but symptoms of a deeper rot within the system. Coupled with an economic downturn, environmental challenges, and a culture of suppression, these incidents paint a vivid picture of a nation struggling to maintain its image of progress while grappling with systemic decay. This exploration delves into the heart of China's infrastructure, woes the human toll of its policies, and the erosion of trust that threatens to unravel the nation's grand narrative. The tofu-dreg phenomenon. The term tofu-dreg has become a haunting shorthand in China, describing buildings, bridges, and public works that appear robust but disintegrate under pressure, much like the fragile residue of bean curd. On June 26, 2025, the Qiu railway station, a shining emblem of China's high-speed rail prowess, became a stark example of this crisis. At midday, under a cloudless sky, a section of the station's ceiling collapsed without warning, unleashing a deluge of water onto the platform below. Stunned passengers scrambled for safety as the flood swept through with no storm or natural disaster to blame. Authorities offered no explanation, quickly sealing off the area and erasing online searches for Qiu collapse from the internet. State media pivoted to stories of seamless rail operations leaving the public in the dark. The silence was not just deafening, it was routine, a well-rehearsed tactic to bury evidence of yet another tofu-dreg failure. Just days later, on July 8, 2025, another disaster unfolded in Chongqing. At 4:30 p.m., a heavy rain warning was issued, and by 6:30 p.m., the ceiling of Longfor Chongqing Chink Paradise Walk in Golo District gave way. A torrent of dark, possibly sewage-contaminated water burst through flooding shops and corridors, sending shoppers into a panicked exodus. These two incidents, one in clear weather, the other during a downpour, reveal a disturbing pattern. China's infrastructure is failing, exposing critical flaws in urban design and disaster preparedness. The government's much-vaunted Sponge City initiative, launched in 2015 to bolster flood resilience through advanced drainage systems, permeable surfaces, and innovative urban planning, has fallen short. Critics argue that these projects are often superficial, underfunded, or marred by the same corner-cutting that fuels the tofu-dreg epidemic. If sponge cities are designed to absorb extreme weather, why are malls and stations flooding? And if Qiu's collapse was unrelated to weather, what does that say about the materials and oversight underpinning China's proudest public works? Tofu-dreg is more than a metaphor. It's a cultural indictment born from tragedies like the 2008 Sichuan earthquake, where shoddily built schools collapsed, killing thousands of children. The term now encapsulates a systemic crisis where weak rebar, diluted concrete, and lax labor practices erode public safety and trust. On July 3, 2025, Changdu East Railway Station in Sichuan, a state-of-the-art transport hub, suffered a similar fate. A summer rain overwhelmed its drainage system and water poured through the ceiling, flooding platforms. Engineers blamed inadequate drainage, but sponge cities are meant to manage such deluges, not funnel them indoors. That same day in Beihai, Guangxi, at the sprawling 280,000 square meter Gu Yuan City Phase 2 residential complex, a whistleblower named Mr. G exposed a chilling reality. He filmed a worker snapping 16mm rebar by hand, a material that, if up to standard, should flex under pressure and hold its shape, not shatter like brittle candy. Of 4 pieces tested, 2 broke instantly, revealing internal defects. Despite official certifications claiming compliance, Mr. G's evidence was undeniable, yet he faced threats and retaliation for going public. On July 10th in Qingdao's Tangdao Bay community, a resident's worst fears materialized when their living room ceiling collapsed in the dead of night. "This is supposed to be rebar," the resident exclaimed, holding up rusted, crumbling steel that disintegrated at a touch. "It's pure tofu-dreg. If we hadn't been in the bedroom, we'd be dead." Chunks of plaster and exposed rebar littered the floor, a stark reminder of the fragility beneath the surface. These incidents are not outliers, but part of a broader pattern, a construction culture that prioritizes speed and spectacle over safety and longevity. Each collapse chips away at public confidence, revealing a system where image trumps integrity. A web of corruption and silence. Tofu-dreg construction is not just about shoddy craftsmanship. It's the product of deep-rooted systemic failures that permeate every level of China's construction industry. A 2015 Transparency International survey by Charney Research revealed that 35% of Chinese companies admitted to bribing officials to secure construction contracts, a practice so ingrained it's barely questioned. The report noted that corruption in China is uniquely threatening to the political system, a concern that leaders acknowledge but struggle to address. President Xi Jinping's anti-corruption campaign, launched in 2013, has felled numerous officials, but many argue it's more about consolidating power than rooting out the rot. A college student, Zonu, whose uncle runs a construction firm, told NPR, "Everyone knows you use cheap materials and bill for premium ones. Corruption is the default, it's what we expect." China's infrastructure miracle, over 42,000 kilometers of high-speed rail cities built in months and record-breaking construction timelines, has been a point of national pride. But this relentless pace comes at a steep cost. Architect Lisa Azu-Wellman, who has worked across Japan, China, and the US, observed that China's fast-tracked, low-quality construction often results in structural weaknesses, chronic leaks, or buildings that fail within years. In the US, architects, contractors, and inspectors act as checks on one another. But in China, these roles often blur with oversight compromised by overlapping interests. Smart Cities Dive reported that Chinese engineers prioritize structural calculations, passing buildings that won't collapse immediately while ignoring cracks, subpar materials, or long-term durability. Whistleblowers who expose these flaws face severe repercussions. On July 8, 2025, a Henan resident known as Brother Qi posted online evidence of illegal sewage dumping only to receive chilling threats days later. In a recorded conversation, he pleaded, "All we want is a clean river for locals. It's simple, don't complicate it." The official's response was menacing. "Even murderers get a second chance. Know when to stop." Brother Qi's drone footage showed a river black with pollution contradicting claims of resolution, yet no one verified his evidence. In 2008, Sichuan teacher Liu Xiaokun was detained for a year in a re-education through labor camp after posting photos of collapsed schools post-earthquake. His family was repeatedly denied visits, and Sharon Holm of Human Rights in China condemned the authorities for silencing truth-tellers, showing callous disregard for victims and their families. These cases reveal a system that punishes exposure rather than addressing flaws, perpetuating a cycle of failure and cover-up. Economic collapse and deserted communities. The infrastructure crisis is intertwined with an economic downturn that has left China's cities and villages hauntingly empty. In Guangdong's Pingdi village, a netizen described a ghost town. No farmers tending fields, no chickens clucking, just solar-powered streetlights illuminating empty streets. "It's Saturday, and not a single car is here," he said, stunned by the silence. From Guizhou to Fujian, similar abandoned villages dot the landscape with homes left as if residents vanished overnight. In Danjiangkou, Hubei, a once thriving town with schools and hotels, now stands deserted, its pristine streets and elegant buildings devoid of life. Even urban centers like Dalian, once bustling, see their central districts reduced to barren wastelands. The 2021 census claimed a population of 14.435 billion, but locals question this figure. "My village is empty," one resident said. "Where are these 14 billion people? The economic collapse has spared no sector. Factories in Foshan and Shenzhen have shuttered with owners selling equipment to cover debts." A Guangzhou restaurant owner lamented, "It's Saturday, nearly noon, and I've had 2 customers. No delivery orders. Small vendors struggle as 5-star hotels like Tianfu Renjia sell meals for 10 to 15 yuan, leveraging their reputation to undercut local businesses." "How can we compete?" a stall owner asked. "Unemployment is rampant, with graduates taking menial jobs like subway security." A Hangzhou graduate said, "We can't afford homes, cars, or families. All we have is exhaustion and debt." The human toll of extreme conditions. An unprecedented heat wave has compounded these challenges, with temperatures soaring past 40 degrees and ground temperatures hitting 72 degrees in Jiangsu. In Henan, a villager lost 5 geese to heat stroke despite their pond habitat, now resorting to spraying well water to save the rest. In Hubei, 72-year-old Grandma Wang suffered 3rd-degree burns after sitting on a scalding rock for 10 seconds, requiring emergency surgery. Delivery riders in Shanghai collapse under 38 degrees Celsius heat, their phones overheating as they earn meager wages, sometimes 10 yuan per order after costs. "I'm dizzy on the verge of fainting," one rider confessed. Factory workers endure stifling conditions with machines radiating heat and ventilation scarce. "Young people won't take these jobs anymore," a Wuhan worker said. "It's too brutal." Erosion of trust and tradition. Even sacred institutions have been tainted. Buddhist temples, once sanctuaries of spiritual solace, have become commercial enterprises. In Shanxi's Wutai Mountain, a monk discarded rice offerings demanding pricier gifts. In Hainan, a monk drove a Rolls-Royce funded by donations. Temples now recruit monks with salaries up to 50,000 yuan, prioritizing business acumen over spiritual devotion. A Chongqing monk justified his opulence. "The Communist Party gives us everything: food, drink, fun. Why not praise them?" Since the 1950s, the Communist Party has suppressed religious elites, turning temples into tourist attractions and eroding their sanctity. This commercialization mirrors the infrastructure crisis, where appearances mask a hollow core, a nation on the brink. China's tofu-dreg epidemic, economic despair, and social decay are interconnected symptoms of a deeper malaise. Collapsing ceilings and bridges expose not just faulty materials, but a culture of corruption and suppression. The heat wave and economic collapse push citizens to their limits, while deserted villages and commercialized temples reflect a loss of community and values. Whistleblowers are silenced, and ordinary people, delivery riders, farmers, and retirees, bear the brunt of a system that prioritizes image over integrity. Josh Birnbaum of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies warned in 2024 that China's construction sector is plagued by corruption and structural issues that may be beyond repair. He told CBN, "Some problems are fixable, but the deeper ones aren't. These brittle projects reflect China itself, impressive on the surface, crumbling beneath." As Xi Jinping's China dream falters, weighed down by broken promises and systemic failures, the stories of those enduring these crises highlight both the depth of the challenge and the resilience of the human spirit. For more on China's unraveling facade, explore our other reports.